Andrew Haug here for AndrewHaug.com, Australia's only dedicated 24/7 rock metal radio station. It's always an honour to be speaking to this amazing musician and person. We do have Tomas Haake from the mighty Meshuggah making a return to Australia shortly with Lamb of God. And it seemed like only yesterday they were in our backyard. But again, it's always great to have the band back to rip heads again. So let's say g'day to Thomas and see what the hell he's up to. G'day, Thomas. How you doing?
Hey, Andrew. How's it going? Yeah, I'm doing pretty good, man, for sure.
Good, and again, it is great that you are coming back to Australia. What is happening in the world of Tomas Haake and even Meshuggah as well?
Well, right now we're just taking kind of a much-needed break. You know, we've done some summer festivals, and we have like a month off now before we come down under. So right now we're just chilling. In a couple of weeks, we'll start rehearsing again for that. So it's pretty easy going right now.
We certainly know that the band does like to take their time writing music. Who's the sort of first member out of the group to instigate the let's get back in the jam room and start to kick out the jams?
Well, I'd say that's more all of us, more than one person in particular. It's something we kind of decide. We try nowadays to have everything planned out. You know, usually we have like a year in advance plan, so we know pretty much what we're doing, what kind of tours we're doing, and so on. And we also kind of plan when to start writing for the next album. And actually, what we're doing now in the fall, we come down to you guys, and after that, we do like one festival in Europe, and then we do some dates in South America. And that's about it for this album, actually. After right around like New Year's or right before that, we'll start writing for the next album.
It definitely is hard to believe the band's been around for, I guess, almost 25 years now or something like that, which is amazing how quick time flies. What do you think the key is for the longevity of the group, and also the fact that, you know, you've pretty much got majority of the remaining members intact, because we can see how quick the music business is today with bands that have been chewed up and spat out really quickly and not holding down a lineup. How does it work for you guys, and how do you think it has contributed to your long-lasting career and success?
Well, it's hard to kind of put the finger on, but I think to some degree we were just lucky, to kind of find each other. We were just the right kind of guys to make this work, and we never really have any drama. We never have had any drama in the band, or we feel pretty good, with each other, and we're all good friends. And you meet a lot of bands, of course, like you said, that it doesn't work, in the long run, and they're kind of too different, or they're kind of straining too much to go in different direction as a band, and stuff like that. But we've somehow just managed to kind of keep ourselves focused, like, as far as what direction we want to take the band, and then what we want to do, and also how much we want to tour, and all those things that kind of come into play when you're a band that's actively touring,
Now, you and I have obviously spoken for many years about the band's career, and I've always mentioned to you about so many bands today really adopting the Meshuggah sound, and there's always different sort of offshoot genres that have the Meshuggah sound in their sound. How do you feel about that? Are you starting to feel like there is a bit of a saturation now, where you listen to some bands and go, yep, they sound like Meshuggah, they got the down-tuned thing happening? How do you guys sort of, keep your ear to the ground with what's happening out there, but also just focus on writing Meshuggah music? Do you really care what other bands are doing and or adopting some of your heavy influence?
I mean, to some degree, we don't really care, because we don't really have the time to care too much about those things. But I mean, it's also a cool thing that we have a lot of bands that kind of stem out of what we've been doing, and they kind of get inspired or influenced by our music. And whether that market is saturated or not, it's hard to tell, but it's definitely a lot of that going on, but not really. We still see ourselves definitely as kind of different from what most bands are attempting to do. And we try not to really focus on whether those bands are actually kind of copying or whatever some of those bands are doing. That doesn't really matter to us. We can only do what what we do and what we love to do. And if other bands want to try to do the same thing, that's just fine. We don't really care. And if anything, we see it as a positive thing.
Have you guys got some ideas in the pipe works that we could, you could possibly shed some light on about where the future will be for Meshuggah musically?
No, not really. I mean, even for ourselves, we that's one thing that we never plan on or discuss. Like we're going to do like this, or the next album should be more like that. It's just something that has to kind of come naturally, and as we haven't really started writing yet, so it's impossible to tell exactly how it's going to if it's going to be slightly, different to what direction that might be. We have no idea at this time. It's if anything, there's some leftovers from Koloss, that we might reuse or try to make into something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's like Koloss, because there was a lot of different, not different styles of music, of course. It all sounded like Meshuggah, but definitely kind of different takes on what we're doing. And when we wrote and kind of compiled the Koloss album, we just kind of took stuff that kind of we felt belonged together, on that album. So there's definitely a bunch of leftover stuff that we might use, but like I said, not necessarily sounding like the Koloss stuff.
Now let's talk a bit about the production and the sound quality of Meshuggah's music. You guys have always sort of, pride yourselves on not just great songwriting, but also a good production. Now, something that I'm sure you're well aware of the last bunch of years, what sort of, I think, happening to music and somewhat destroying a little bit is this sort of loudness war that seems to be going around, where bands are just over compressing a lot of their music, that really gets to the point where it can just fatigue you after one or two listens, because it's that sort of in your face as far as its compression. What's your take on that sort of issue? That's a lot of people still don't know much about it, but I'm starting to see that's happening more and more with music, especially a lot of the music we receive here at the station, and it really sucks the dynamics out of a lot of the music we get. Do you guys have an opinion about that? Are you aware of all this sort of stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely, and it's something that we kind of struggle with ourselves too, to kind of keep it at what's kind of the right amount of compression, even though I think personally Koloss is way too compressed, just like a lot of other things here nowadays. The production is really good on it, so we kind of get away with it, I guess. But I think definitely it's a weird trend, to kind of take out the dynamics of the music like that, and there's so much that you lose compared to how you would master albums like in the 70s and 80s, where you left a lot of headroom and things were allowed to kind of stick out here and there, and it was allowed to kind of be taken down in volume and everything. And now it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if it's full on the whole band, or if it's it's a guitar, just a guitar playing, it's still the same kind of loudness. It's just at the same volume, and that's really, it's a weird trend, and even though we, to a big degree, we're kind of like that ourselves too. Once the album's out, it ends up being kind of like that. But that's something that we have different opinions of in the band as well, like how we should actually do that. Where I'm definitely more for the old school, way of doing things and leaving a bit more headroom and stuff. And others in the band want it really kind of in your face the whole time. So it's a kind of a balance thing, but it's definitely, like you said, it's something that's really been going on now for a bunch of years, and just kind of getting worse and worse, and it's really stupid, actually.
Do you think that people are starting to notice a bit more? Because we know music is so attainable today. Fans just rip, download, swap, whatever, and to a point where it's just, let me check it out, whatever, I'm done, give me the next album. It's almost discarded really, really quickly.
Yeah, I guess, maybe it's something like you said, people want their music to be heard and be taken seriously, so they want the kind of sound that everyone else has, and it's it's a shame though, because usually if you have the kind of music that will be played on radio, they add their own compression to it, and sometimes it just makes the music completely unlistenable because you have that full on kind of compression on the album already, and you hear it, on the radio. It just sounds, it just kind of destroys the music, I think. So I'm hoping the trend will change, and I think it probably will, but I think these kind of trends is something that kind of comes and goes in long waves, so if it's going to change to more of an old school approach, it's probably something that's going to happen over like 10 years or something. I don't know.
All right, well, we'll get off the tech talk and we'll talk a bit about the tour dates. Of course, you are coming back shortly with Lamb of God. First show's on Friday, the 20th of September, in Brisbane at the Tivoli, Saturday the 21st in Sydney at the University Roundhouse, Sunday the 22nd at Festival Hall in Melbourne, Tuesday the 24th at the Thebarton Theatre in Adelaide, and wrapping up in Perth at the Metro City on Thursday the 26th of September. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Thomas, and we can get you to choose your favourite, I guess, least compressed Meshuggah track from anything from the back catalogue.
Well, I don't know about least compressed, but let's go with something new, and that means it will be quite compressed. One of my favorites off the new album is the first track, I Am Koloss, so let's do that one.
Awesome. All right, let's check out some Meshuggah now on andrewhaug.com. Thanks, Thomas.
Thank you, man.